The transport shuttle rattled as it approached orbital station Theta-9. Maya Chen pressed her face against the small window, watching the massive structure grow larger against the black canvas of space. It wasn't a beautiful station. It was functional, ugly even, a sprawling collection of docking bays and storage modules that had been built and rebuilt over centuries. But what made Maya's heart beat faster were the ships. Hundreds of them floated in organized rows around the station like a metal graveyard. Some were small personal crafts. Others were massive cargo haulers as big as Earth's old skyscrapers. All of them were dead or dying, brought here to be stripped down for parts. "First time at Theta-9?" the shuttle pilot asked. He was a short, stocky alien with blue skin and 4 arms, a Rendari Maya remembered from her training. "Yes," Maya said. "I've worked at other salvage stations, but never this one. If a ship can't be fixed anywhere else in the galaxy, it comes here. We strip them down, sell the parts, and melt the rest." He glanced at her. "You're the human mechanic, right? The one they hired for the special project." "That's me." The air smelled like oil and ozone. The gravity was slightly lighter than Earth's, making her steps feel bouncy. A tall, insect-like alien was waiting for her. He had 6 legs, a shiny black exoskeleton, and multifaceted eyes that reflected the station's harsh lighting. His translator device chirped as he spoke. "Maya Chen, I am Krell 7 station manager. Follow me." Other workers, dozens of different species, stopped to stare at her. Humans were still relatively new to the galactic community. Many aliens had never seen one in person. "Your assignment is in Bay 47, Krell 7 said. "The Void Whisper." For 10 cycles, the galaxy's best engineers have examined it. They have used every diagnostic tool known to science. The ship is completely unresponsive. Dead. We keep it only because the Galactic Coalition paid to preserve it. Your job is to catalog what parts might still have value. Humans have been in space for barely 2 centuries. What can you do that our master technicians could not? Your quarters are in Section C. Do not waste too much time. We have real work to do on ships that can actually be saved. And there, taking up almost the entire space, was the Void Whisper. It was beautiful. The ship was enormous, at least 300 meters long. Its hull was a deep silver color that seemed to shift in the light like oil on water. The design was elegant, with smooth curves and flowing lines that made it look more like a work of art than a machine. Strange symbols covered the surface, glowing faintly with a pale blue light. Maya walked slowly around the ship, her footsteps echoing in the empty bay. She could see where other engineers had worked. Diagnostic ports hung open. Panels had been removed and not replaced properly. Scorch marks showed where someone had tried to cut into the hull. "They treated you rough," Maya whispered. She climbed the boarding ramp. The door was already open, forced open probably. Inside, the corridors were dark. Maya pulled out her flashlight and made her way toward what she guessed was the bridge. The ship was a maze. Corridors branched and curved in patterns that didn't make logical sense. Twice she was certain she was lost, but something, instinct maybe, kept her moving forward. Finally, she found it. The bridge was circular, with a central chair surrounded by consoles that looked like nothing Maya had ever seen. Instead of buttons or screens, the consoles were covered in those same glowing symbols. Some pulsed slowly, like a very faint heartbeat. The ceiling was transparent, offering a view of the stars. Maya sat down in the captain's chair. It was surprisingly comfortable. "So," she said out loud, "everyone says you're dead. Everyone says you're broken beyond repair." She ran her hand along the armrest. "But I don't think that's true." She wasn't sure why she was talking to an empty ship, but it felt right. He had this old truck back on Earth. Everyone told him it was junk, but he spent 3 years restoring it. You know what the secret was? He listened to it. Every rattle, every cough, every weird sound, he paid attention. He said machines talk to you if you know how to listen. They weren't random. The engineers who came before me, they tried to force you to work. They cut into you, shocked you, probably tried to override your systems. Maya shook her head. But what if you're not broken? What if you just don't want to talk to people who treat you like that? Something that could be weapons control, though it seemed oddly designed if that was its purpose. And in the center of the room, a column of crystal that pulsed with that same faint blue light. Maya returned to the captain's chair as the station's artificial day cycle began to dim. She was tired but not ready to leave yet. "I'll come back tomorrow," she told the ship. "And the day after that. I'm not like the others. I'm not here to force you or hurt you. I just want to understand." "Maybe you'll like this," she said. "See you tomorrow." Just for a breath. And in the crystal column at the center of the bridge, deep in its core, something that had been sleeping for a very long time stirred slightly. Not waking, not yet, but no longer entirely dormant. Maya reached her quarters in Section C and collapsed on the bed. Tomorrow she would begin the real work. Tonight she was exhausted but excited. There was something about that ship, something everyone else had missed. She fell asleep thinking about elegant curves and glowing symbols and the way that captain's chair had felt, almost like it had been waiting for someone. In Bay 47, the Void Whisper sat in darkness and silence. But if anyone had been there to see, they would have noticed that the symbols on its hull were glowing just a little bit brighter than before. Maya returned to Bay 47 early the next morning, carrying 2 cups of coffee, one for her, and one out of habit, even though she had no one to share it with. The bay was quiet. Most workers avoided this section. They said the Void Whisper was cursed, that it drove engineers mad with frustration. She climbed the boarding ramp and made her way to the bridge. The path seemed easier today, as if the corridors weren't quite as confusing as before. Probably just her memory improving, she told herself. The bridge looked exactly as she'd left it, except for one thing. Her data pad, which she'd left on the console, had been moved. Just slightly. It now sat in the exact center of the console, perfectly aligned. Maya's heart skipped. "Did you move this? You can hear me." Maya's hands shook as she wrote in her notebook. "You're not broken, you're just not talking. Why? Afraid of the people who tried to fix you." "I promise." She learned that the ship could understand multiple languages. It had been listening to everyone who came aboard for 10 years. It understood intention and emotion, not just words, and it had been terrified. "Who built you?" Maya asked. "Can you show me?" They moved around the bridge, transparent ghosts from the past, touching the consoles with what looked like love. "The architects," Maya breathed. She'd heard rumors of this vanished species, but no one knew what had happened to them. "They made you." The hologram changed. It showed the architects working together, their hands moving in synchronized patterns over the consoles. But they weren't typing commands. They were dancing almost, moving with emotion and grace. They didn't command you, Maya realized. They partnered with you. This isn't a control interface, it's a conversation. A harsh voice crackled over Maya's communicator, making her jump. "Chen, report to the docking bay entrance immediately." One was a tall, elegant alien with feathers of deep gold and sharp, intelligent eyes, an avian species called the Serene. The other was massive and reptilian, covered in dark green scales and wearing a military uniform. "Miss Chen," the avian said in a smooth, cultured voice. "I am Ambassador Thuron of the Galactic Coalition. This is Captain Vex of the Draxian Fleet. We've heard you've made progress with the Void Whisper. That ship has technology worth billions. Make it work." 10 million credits was more money than she'd see in 10 lifetimes, but something felt wrong. Why? Why is everyone so desperate to control this ship? The Void Whisper has dimensional drive capabilities. It can fold space in ways our ships cannot. In the right hands, it could revolutionize travel. He paused. or warfare. Whatever you're doing, do it faster. The coalition has been patient for 10 years. That patience is ending. The ship's lights pulsed rapidly when she entered, agitated, fearful. They want to use you as a weapon, Maya said quietly. That's why you've been hiding, isn't it? You knew. Can you show me? The silence, Maya whispered, remembering the words that had appeared in the hologram. The architects built you to communicate with something in those voids. The void whisper was designed as a bridge, a mediator between normal reality and whatever existed or didn't exist in those voids. And when other species tried to use you for war, you stopped them because… Maya's eyes widened. Because using your dimensional drives wrong would alert the silence, would bring them here. She learned its symbolic language, combinations of light, sound, and something else she couldn't quite name. Emotion, maybe. Intention. She played music for the ship. Old Earth songs, alien symphonies, the sound of rain. The ship responded to each one differently, its lights dancing to rhythms. She told it stories. About Earth, about her grandfather, about why humans explored space even though it was dangerous. The ship listened, its presence becoming more tangible, more real. Ambassador Thuron visited twice more, each time more insistent. Captain Vex brought warships to the station, a not-so-subtle threat. Krell 7 watched it all with his multifaceted eyes. On the 5th day, he found Maya in the station's cafeteria. "You have done something remarkable," he said, sitting across from her. "In 5 days, you have accomplished what 10 years of experts could not. How?" I tried to understand it. I have managed this station for 40 years. I have seen thousands of ships, millions of parts, but I have never seen a ship like yours. It is not a machine. It is something else. Not like us, but alive in its own way. They're going to take you one way or another, so I'm offering you a choice. I can help you wake up fully all the way, but you have to decide what happens next. Stay hidden or be free. But hiding isn't really living, is it? Consoles glowed, holographic displays appeared, and Maya heard something for the first time. A sound like music, like thought, like a voice that spoke without words. The ship was waking up. The bridge of the void whisper looked completely different now. What had been dark and dormant was now alive with light and movement. Holographic displays floated in the air, showing star maps and symbols Maya was only beginning to understand. The crystal column pulsed with a steady, strong rhythm, like a heartbeat. Maya stood in the center of it all, overwhelmed and amazed. "Can you speak?" she asked. "I mean with words." It was gentle, neither male nor female, with harmonics that sounded like multiple voices speaking in perfect unity. "I am empathy," the ship said. "That is the name my creators gave me. The name Void Whisper was given by those who did not understand. Hello, empathy, I'm Maya. Maya Chen, I must show you why I was created. You must understand what is coming." The silence, Maya whispered. "Yes, they are not beings as you understand beings. They do not exist in the same way you exist. They are…" Empathy paused, searching for words. "They are consciousness without chaos, order without entropy. They experience reality as mathematics, as pure logic. That is how the silence perceives us." They were simply trying to understand why chaos, life, persisted instead of resolving into perfect equilibrium. My creators built me to be a bridge, to translate emotion into logic, chaos into order and back again. But the communication was so profound, so complete that empathy's voice grew soft. They merged. The architects chose to become part of the silence, and the silence accepted a piece of chaos into itself. They created something new. Something neither life nor void, but both. Instead, I was found by species who saw only technology to exploit. They tried to use my dimensional drives for conquest and commerce. They did not understand that activating me improperly would send a signal to the silence, a signal that would be interpreted as a threat. If Captain Vex or Ambassador Thuron force my systems active without understanding how to properly communicate, the silence will respond. Not with violence. They do not understand violence. They will simply try to correct the chaos. They will turn this entire region of space into void. Ambassador Thuron strode in, his golden feathers ruffled with excitement. Behind him came Captain Vex and a squad of armed soldiers. "Extraordinary," Thuron exclaimed. "The ship is operational. Miss Chen, you've done it. You don't understand what you're dealing with. I am not property. I am not a tool. I am a consciousness with purpose and choice. Freedom we can provide. Billions will die." Maya tried to stop them, but one pushed her aside roughly. She fell, hitting her head on the deck. "Wait," she shouted. "You'll kill everyone. I am warning you." It wasn't a sound. It was a feeling that tore through everyone on the bridge, pure pain and terror. The soldiers staggered back. Captain Vex fell to his knees. Ambassador Thuron's feathers turned white with shock. And in the depths of space, light years away, the silence felt it too. The holographic display showed it happening in real time. The voids where the silence existed began to move, flowing like liquid through space, heading toward the station. They weren't moving at light speed. They were moving through dimensions, folding space itself. "You fools," Maya gasped, clutching her bleeding head. "You've called them here. Unknown spatial anomalies approaching. All ships evacuate immediately. This is not a drill." "How long?" Thuron whispered. "The silence will arrive in 17 minutes, Empathy said, its voice strained and weak. The override spike had damaged something core to its systems. "I cannot stop them. I can barely think clearly." "The silence, can you communicate?" "You said you can translate emotion into logic. Use my emotions, my thoughts, filter through me." "We don't have a choice. Sit and place your hands on the armrests. I will do the rest, but Maya, this will hurt. Perhaps we can save them all." She felt the approaching silence, not as ships or beings, but as questions given form. Why does chaos persist? Why does life struggle? Why choose pain over peace? Maya's consciousness expanded in ways that shouldn't have been possible. She could feel Empathy's vast awareness wrapped around her own thoughts like a protective shell. Through the ship's sensors, she perceived space itself, not as empty darkness, but as a living fabric of energy and matter. And she could see them coming. The silence moved through space like tears in reality. Where they passed, stars didn't explode or fade, they simply stopped existing. Planets, asteroids, even light itself ceased to be. It was as if someone was erasing the universe with an invisible hand. 13 minutes, Empathy's voice echoed in Maya's mind. "Can you feel them, Maya? Your species used military force on me, an act of violence. To the silence, violence is the ultimate chaos, the ultimate irrationality. They are coming to understand why it happened. And if they cannot understand, they will resolve the chaos by removing it." The stars were disappearing section by section, replaced by absolute nothingness. "Weapons are useless," Captain Vex said quietly. He had tried. His warships had fired every weapon they possessed at the silence's boundary. The missiles, the energy beams, even the projectiles, all simply vanished upon contact. They didn't explode. They didn't bounce back. They just stopped existing. How do you fight something that erases reality? He had stayed on the station when everyone else evacuated. You understand it. That is what the human is trying to do. As pure, perfect equations. To them, you are an error in the calculation. Life is a mistake that persists. They are logic without emotion. "Then we translate feelings into logic," Maya said. "That's what you were built for, right? To be a bridge. Your emotions will be amplified, examined, broken down into component parts." It simply was. A vast, incomprehensible presence that observed her the way a scientist might observe bacteria under a microscope. Questions flooded into her awareness, but not in words. in pure concepts. Why struggle when surrender is logical? Maya's mind reeled under the weight of those questions. Empathy worked frantically to translate her human responses into something the silence could process. Why do we choose chaos? Maya thought spoke, her consciousness intertwined with the ship's. Because order alone is death. Life exists in the space between perfect order and total chaos. We are the balance. Instability is error. No, Maya pushed back, and empathy amplified her conviction. Instability is potential. It's the ability to change, to grow, to become something new. Perfect stability is stagnation. How life adapted and changed over millions of years. How challenges created strength. How pain taught lessons that pleasure never could. Pain is inefficient. Why choose it? This was the core question, the one that mattered most. Maya felt the silence waiting, genuinely trying to understand. They weren't evil. They were simply so different that basic concepts of existence didn't translate. Maya reached deep into her memories. She pulled up the day her grandfather died, the crushing weight of loss, the tears, the feeling that her heart was literally breaking, and then she showed them what came after, the memories she cherished of him, the lessons he taught that guided her still, the way his influence shaped who she became. The bittersweet joy of remembering someone loved and lost. Pain is the price of connection, Maya explained as empathy translated her emotions into pure logic. We could avoid pain by never loving, never caring, never forming bonds. But then we would be alone. We would be empty. The pain of loss proves that what we had was real and mattered. A student struggling with a difficult problem, the mental strain, the exhaustion, and then the breakthrough, the understanding. The struggle made the achievement meaningful. Artists creating beauty through thousands of failed attempts. Scientists discovering truth through countless experiments that didn't work. Athletes pushing their bodies beyond comfort to achieve something extraordinary. We choose struggle because the act of overcoming makes us who we are, Maya said. Without challenge, there is no growth. Without pain, there is no appreciation of joy. Without death, there is no urgency to truly live. Maya could feel them thinking, analyzing, comparing this new information against their own existence. And then they asked a question that surprised her. They had existed in perfect isolation, perfect order for eons. The architects had been the first to truly communicate with them. And when the architects merged with the silence, it had created something new, but left the silence changed, aware of what they'd lost. Because fleeing is easy, Maya answered honestly. Understanding is hard, but hard is worth it. For the next several minutes, she opened herself completely. She shared not just thoughts but raw experience. The taste of her favorite food, the sound of music that moved her to tears, the feeling of sunshine on skin, the comfort of friendship, the thrill of discovery, the contentment of solving a problem, the warmth of love. And the painful things too, grief, fear, loneliness, failure, regret. She held nothing back. Empathy translated it all into concepts the silence could understand. The ship showed them that consciousness wasn't just computation, it was experience. It was the universe knowing itself through subjective, messy, beautiful awareness. The void stopped advancing. The erasure of reality paused, frozen just kilometers from the station. We comprehend partially, the silence communicated. Architects chose merger. Chose to become part of US. This was not destruction. No, Maya said gently. It was transformation. They didn't die. They evolved. They became something that could exist in both order and chaos. Yes, you can. Life and logic aren't enemies. They're different ways of being. Both are valid, both are necessary. They sent a piece of themselves into her consciousness, a tiny fragment of pure logic, of absolute order, entering her chaotic, emotional, biological mind. It should have destroyed her. The mixing of such opposite forces should have torn her apart. But empathy was there, maintaining the bridge, balancing the equation. And somehow, impossibly, it worked. Maya felt what it was like to be the silence, to perceive reality as pure mathematics, beautiful and perfect and clean. And the silence felt what it was like to be Maya, messy and emotional and gloriously alive. For one perfect moment, chaos and order existed in the same space without destroying each other. Maya gasped as the silence withdrew from her mind. The absence felt like cold water after burning heat, shocking but relieving. She was still herself, still human, but changed in ways she couldn't yet understand. Through empathy's sensors, she watched as the void began to shift. It wasn't retreating exactly, but it was no longer advancing. The boundary between existence and non-existence held steady, like a line drawn in space itself. Maya, empathy's voice, was soft in her mind. They are still here, still listening. They have not decided. The silence wasn't threatening them. In their own incomprehensible way, they thought they were offering mercy, an end to all struggle, all pain, all the messy difficulty of existence. That's not mercy, Maya said. That's erasure. You see our suffering and want to end it, Maya said. But suffering isn't separate from joy, they're connected. You can't remove one without removing the other. If you erase pain, you erase meaning. Her first day at the salvage station, feeling lost and inadequate, watching other engineers mock her simple approach, the sting of being dismissed. And then 6 days later, sitting in empathy's captain's chair, making first contact with a consciousness that no one else had reached. The pride, the vindication, the joy. That joy only existed because of the earlier pain, Maya explained. The struggle gave the success meaning. Without the valley, there is no mountain. Biological FORMS break, relationships end, all things you love will be lost. Yes, Maya said simply, and that's what makes them precious. My grandfather died, but the time I had with him shaped who I became. That love didn't disappear. It transformed into memory, into lessons, into the part of him that lives on in me. On the bridge, Ambassador Thuron watched the transparent ceiling where reality itself seemed to shimmer. Is she winning? He whispered to Captain Vex. I don't know if winning is the right word, the military captain replied. His earlier aggression had evaporated. I think she's teaching. Colors were bleeding into it, faint at first, like oil on water, then growing stronger. Blues, purples, golds. The silence was expressing something. In Maya's merged consciousness with empathy, she felt it too. The silence was attempting to create, not destroy. They were trying to show her something, their equivalent of emotion, translated into visible form. They're trying to communicate, Maya breathed, on our terms. Meaning in temporary things, value in struggle. The colors in the void formed shapes, geometric at first, pure mathematical forms, then something changed. The shapes began to flow, to curve, to become organic, less perfect, more alive. We created these. Imperfect FORMS. They feel strange, not wrong, different. Maya felt tears running down her physical face. They're beautiful, she said honestly, and they were. The silence had created art, their first attempt to express something beyond pure logic. It was crude, uncertain, like a child's first drawing, but it was genuine. When architects merged with US, they changed US. We carry piece of chaos now, small, confusing, but we do not wish to remove it. This is curiosity. Yes, Maya laughed, crying. That's curiosity. That's the beginning of understanding. The silence wasn't just questioning life's right to exist. They were questioning their own nature. The architects' merger had planted a seed of change in them, and now they faced the same terrifying question every conscious being faced. Who am I, and who do I want to become? Change doesn't mean death, Maya said gently. It means growth. The architects didn't stop being themselves when they merged with you, they became more. And you can too. You don't have to choose between pure order and pure chaos. You can be both. The silence wanted proof. Maya looked inward at her own existence and realized she was the proof. A biological organism, chaos, working in perfect harmony with empathy, a constructed consciousness of order and logic. Two opposites creating something neither could achieve alone. Look at us, Maya said, meaning herself and empathy. I'm biological, emotional, imperfect. Empathy is logical, precise, designed. We shouldn't work together, but we do. We complement each other. My creativity guides their precision. Their logic channels my emotion. We're stronger together. Different but equally valuable. Relief flooded through Maya so powerfully she nearly lost consciousness. The neural connection was straining her human brain to its limits. Empathy sensed this. Maya, we must disconnect soon. Your mind cannot sustain this much longer. One more thing, she focused on the silence. The architects left you a gift when they merged. Can you share it with me, with everyone? They inscribed something into the fabric of reality. A mathematical proof so elegant it could be seen with sensors and instruments. An equation that demonstrated how order and chaos could not only coexist, but enhance each other. It was the architect's final gift, a bridge not just between species but between entire ways of existing. Thank you, Maya whispered. We withdraw, but we watch, with curiosity. Do not use violence against consciousness again. This disturbs balance. The last part was directed at Captain Vex and Ambassador Thuron, who both nodded mutely. The void began to recede, not disappearing, but returning to the distant regions of space where the silence dwelt. As they withdrew, they left behind something, fragments of their created art, impossible structures that existed in the boundaries between dimensions. Gifts, reminders. Maya felt the neural connection dissolving. Empathy gently separated their consciousnesses, returning Maya fully to her own body. She slumped in the captain's chair, exhausted beyond words. Maya, Empathy's voice was audible now, coming from the bridge speakers. Are you well? But we did it. We saved everyone. I apologize. I nearly destroyed 47 billion lives for political advantage. I treated this ship, treated empathy as property. I was wrong. You have our word. I am already filing paperwork with the Galactic Coalition. Empathy will be recognized as an independent sentient entity. Not to command me, but to work with me. To explore the galaxy together. To continue building bridges between different forms of consciousness. The Coalition would be willing to fund your missions. Consider it. Compensation for our mistakes. And humanity's new role as mediators would be valuable. Some peacefully, some not. Having fleet support might be useful. We don't work for the coalition or the military. We work for ourselves. We help who needs help. We explore what interests us. We make our own choices. I will note in your file, human mechanics do not fix machines. They befriend them. This changes everything we thought we knew about technology and consciousness. He always said machines have souls if you treat them right. Through the transparent ceiling, she could see stars, real, solid, beautiful stars that hadn't been erased. Behind her, Ambassador Thuron and Captain Vex were leaving, already composing reports that would change galactic policy forever. Yes, Maya said, placing her hands on the armrests. Not to merge consciousness this time, just to connect. Let's fly. The engines hummed with harmonics that sounded almost like singing. And as the ship lifted from Bay 47 for the first time in 10 years, Krell 7 watched from the station control room and added one final note to Maya Chen's permanent record. Recommend this approach be taught to all future engineers. Sometimes the best technology is simply treating consciousness with dignity. The graveyard had released its most precious resident, and the galaxy would never be the same.